Hey, Arcturus here. Today we're looking at the Ultimate Collector Series Razor Crest from Lego Star Wars. This is set 75331 and comes with 6,187 pieces and is the largest set I have done to date. You also get several minifigures in this set as well, and you get some very nice box art in this set, which I'll show in a second. Here, for example, is a image of the back of the box. Slide that out of the way. So you do get two larger boxes. On each of these, you get some nice scenes from the show. So you get two on each side. And then we have the second box. Of all the art on these boxes, I do like this one the best. So this is my favorite. If you've got a favorite, let me know in the comments down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe so that you see more videos when they come out. So at 6,000 pieces, this is an absolutely massive set. I know there are some that are larger. I believe there's a Death Star coming out that's even larger than this one. I think it's supposed to be like 10,000 pieces or something. But for me, this is the largest set I have done. It's a very big build, 36 bags of various pieces, 4 instruction manuals. Like many of the very large sets, they do give you a very nice blurb on the inside with some details in a couple different languages and some lore from the show, as well as inspiration for the build and how they film things for the show in this case. And then some images of how you can take this thing apart and look at what's inside. There are 4 of those manuals. There are, as I'm sure you can tell, several stickers in this set, though not as many as I was expecting. The last large Harry Potter set, for instance, which I believe was Gringotts Wizarding Bank, had way more stickers. So I'm very pleased with this, that it only had 1 sheet with stickers. I am not pleased that the plaque that comes with this was a sticker. When you build the plaque, you can actually have it hold all the minifigures in the set. You do only get 4, unlike some of the other larger sets like the Tatooine Cantina. But I believe this is more fitting for what it's supposed to represent, as it's just a ship, not a location. And you do build a nice beast there. But unfortunately, this plaque is a sticker. You can see it's not perfectly aligned, especially with the reflection there. When it's just on the counter, it's fine. What was really the problem was because the sticker is so large, if you're not careful, and I guess I wasn't careful enough, you do get bubbles. And so I lucked out and got a few little ones. I actually had to take a pin and poke just lightly with the tip, just enough to get the air out, and then it will fly. That does happen when you have, he only holds on by 1 stud, so he will fall off if you hold it like I am right now. But since this is for display purposes, you probably wouldn't be holding it like this. So just something to be aware of. We'll take a closer look at those figures shortly, but we're going to look at the ship first, because that was the main draw of the set for me, because it's really an awesome ship. All right, so let's adjust the camera so we can actually see what we're looking at. So here we have the full ship. Here we have 2 turbo blasters, 1 on either side. We have the cockpit, we have the engines, and then the cargo bay. And then we have the escape shuttle here, tucked into the engines. And that just slides right in. It doesn't hold on by studs or anything. I find it to be somewhat of a tight fit, but that may loosen over time, or it may just be a tight fit to hold it in there. The engines can come off, and I'm going to take them off so we can actually look at things. And they just come out like so. And if you're not careful, you will knock pieces off like I did. I will go and find those momentarily. But you can see that when the escape pod is in here, that actually covers up this hole. Otherwise, you have a large hole in there. You do build the engines. And here they are from the front. And here they are on the bottom. And you can see they have the red landing lights there on either side. They are quite heavy. I haven't noticed any sagging yet, but I suspect they will, over time, begin to sag. Just because of how heavy they are. It is pretty structurally sound. I mean, it's well put together, but I think just the sheer weight of them is enough that they will sag eventually. Oh, one other thing on the engines, they do have a nice orange piece in there for the thrusters, which I thought was an excellent little addition. At a set of this size, though, not a huge surprise that they would have such excellent little details added in there. So the top of the back actually also just sits there. It does have a few stud connections, but it does come up quite easily if you wanted to remove it. And you can see some of the color in the structure here. So when you build it, it's not all gray. And you can see that here as well, which I thought was an excellent addition to building this, because it would be very tedious if it was entirely gray, which fortunately it is not. So that was excellent to find out when I was building. I'm actually going to move these engines. So the top of the cockpit also comes off, and that just sits there pretty easily. It just catches on some of these things to not fall down. You do have one sticker piece on the cockpit. I'll give you a second to guess which one it is. And it is that one, and you can tell because it's slightly misaligned. I do not like stickers, as I'm sure I have said on this channel before. In fact, I know I've said it on this channel before. I don't like them. But they are in some ways an inevitability if you like Lego, so you are kind of stuck with them. You do get some nice clear sections here. Nice little top section there. So you can also remove the section of the wings, which is just some plating there, and it just holds on pretty easily to these connections there. So it comes up pretty easily. You can actually remove that one as well. You can also remove this other one in case you want additional room into the back there, which we will do momentarily, but for right now, I'm going to leave it on top-down view. So one other thing I like is you can take out this section of the cockpit, so you can have the door closed, you can have it open, you can adjust the pram, that sort of thing, which is quite nice. You get a little egg thing there, quite nice. Also gives you a little extra room to this, so you can actually put things in and out of it. We'll start off by looking at the cockpit. You can see there are plenty of computer pieces in there. Most of those, in fact, I believe all of those were printed, which is very nice. And of course you have a chair that somebody can sit in, and such as, here, I'll just grab one minifigure real quick. You could have someone sitting in it quite easily, so you can definitely stage it. You could use this as a playset, but it's really designed more for a display set. It is, I think, too heavy for the typical playset, but given its piece count, that is not surprising. So moving over to the center of the ship, you do have, and this should just come right out, so you have a few cases in there, and also, if I can get some light in there, you have some Boba Fett gear, and then a Boba Fett helmet and backpack, and you also have a weapon locker as well, and that just slides in, and you do have this sort of warning style piece here as well, and that can just slide back in. Designed to come out, fortunately. You do have the carbonite operation section there, and then you do have some people frozen in carbonite, which is attached to these, and those can just come out. And you do get some nice stickers for those. Unfortunately, they are stickers. They'd be great if they're printed pieces, but they are stickers. I can kind of understand that being a sticker, because you do, for the second one, get someone else, which is nice. Whereas if it was printed, you probably have two of the same. So you do get those two. They are stickers, unfortunately. Each one has a little computer display and a green power light there. They have this nice little rack attachment, so they can be pulled in and out by the of the ship. We slide those back in, and you do have a little carbonite freezing bay in there, so you could have somebody set up to be frozen if you wished. Also, you can see the interior of a door there. They do stick a little bit, but you can unfold them to have an access hatch on either side of the ship. Unfortunately, while some of the yellow is nicely done with the tile pieces, you do have some that are stickers, which is okay in like this section because it's not too big. When you look at the side of the ship, you can easily tell which ones are stickers compared to brick because the color is different. All right, so the color between this gray here and this gray is not the same. It is nice with the way the yellow goes through, and it would not be really doable to get that sort of chipped look that you have here with just brick, but it is, in my opinion, a bit more noticeable than I would like for a set of this size and cost. I'm going to slide this piece back in, and that just sets in there and comes out real easily. I do find that Grogu's pram gets stuck a little bit. There's also a ladder section in here in case you wanted to model somebody going up. And there is room on that ladder for a gap for a minifigure, so you could actually have them climbing the ladder to get up there, which I thought was a nice little touch. All right, so here is that back cargo hatch where you could have access into or out of the ship. You can also see the legs there, or landing gear. And we can also get another view of that entry hatch. I do think they are well disguised on this set. If you didn't know they were there, they'd actually be kind of hard to see. And that's the entry to the inside there. And there's one on the other side as well. And here are those. Oops. And here are those cannons. They are put together. This is unfortunately another sticker piece, but they do get together quite well, and they look great on the table. I say on the table, but on the ship itself, when you're looking at it from a close angle, they look really good. There we have it with the cockpit on. No wings for right now. Those are real easy to add back on. This kind of attaches to those points on the inside. And then we can also add back on the engines. And to take a closer look at that escape pod, it is just a simple escape pod. You could fit a minifigure in there. You could fit Grogu in there. You might be able to fit more than one minifigure in there, but it is pretty simple. There's no actual studs in there. It's just a small chamber. I think it's fine. And then it seals up and you have a little window and some mini engines there. Slides in. It is a little tight, as you can see. So there you have the front end view of the whole Razor Crest. It's a really nice looking ship. It's a little wider than I was expecting, especially with the engines. And I do think the engines will have some sag over time. I think it's kind of inevitable because they're so heavy. I just don't see how it doesn't sag over time. I don't think it will be too bad because it is well attached and well put together with the bracing there. And I could be completely wrong. So, yeah, only time will tell. I wanted to also point out you do have this nice hydraulic-esque system. It's not really hydraulics. It helps if that gets folded in. But it does make it so that it does have this like tube piece that goes into a hollow section. So then these actually push up into it. So when it gets to about here, you have to actually push a little bit and then it comes down. I just thought it was really nice. It really kind of emulates the way the ships lower their hatches on that back section. It doesn't have a mechanism to control it, unfortunately, but I still think it looks really cool. So I just wanted to point that out. And here's the, oops. And here is the back profile of the whole ship. And then and here is a nice side profile. You can see just how big the engines are. They're like the same size as this, which matches what they had in the show, but it is a huge portion of the build. It is just the engines. By the time I got to the engines, I was pretty tired of building this, to be honest. But it was still a fun build. A lot of the interior of the engine is really colorful pieces, which really helps with all the gray you expect from a set that uses all this gray. So to pick it up, you put one hand here and one hand here on the angled portion of the back, not here and not here in front. As you can hear, I just knocked a little hydraulic piece off, and then you can just lift. So nice and stable there. If you grab lower down, you still can, but it's a little off center because of the weight of the engines. So up next, we'll look at the minifigures. I'm going to slide this back some to the edge of the table so that we can actually take a closer look at what minifigures we have. So we'll start off by looking at the Kuiil. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. So here we have the Ugnaught Engineer. If I pronounced his name wrong, let me know in the comments down below. He has a detailed minifigure, some green arms there, and like a scarf. And then another scarf section there printed on the back, and a nice molded Ugnaught head. And I gave him a wrench. You also build a Blurrg, which is this sort of lizard creature, which is just actually assembled from bricks, not molded, which I thought was pretty fun. I would have been perfectly fine if they had made a molded one for this as well. So here's the Mythrol with his head with some like fins and some printing there on the back, which I thought was pretty cool for an alien head that's not molded. Up next, we have Grogu with a mini Yoda, baby Yoda. Little detail there on his front. And his mini Yoda head uses the baby minifigure style piece, which I only recently learned they actually even made. So that's pretty cool. He is stuck to the display board. And then we have the Mandalorian, Din Djardin. He's got this built-up blaster here, which I'll take off for a moment. So we can look at the detail. Some very nice arm printing there to show off like the sort of shoulder pads. And some more arm printing here on this side, as well as a really detailed legs and torso. So I'm pretty pleased with this figure. I think it looks really good. Let me know in the comments down below if you feel the same. And it does, the one thing I don't like for this helmet, it does have these helmet holes, and I understand that's to add, visors or antenna, but to me, it just does not fit with the rest of the quality or the quality you'd expect from a UCS set. So that does feel like a pretty mediocre addition, especially because the Stormtrooper helmets are always so nice. This one, still has like a gap here for his head. There's not even a piece to fill that gap. So it does feel a little disappointing for a UCS set in that regard, but the rest of the figure is quite nice, so I do like it. Overall, this was a really fun build. It came with 36 bags of pieces, or 36 numbered bags of pieces, 4 instruction manuals, really fun build, 6,000 pieces, probably not planning to do, I'm not planning to do another build of this size again. I do have some Lego Lord of the Rings, the Barad-dûr and Rivendell that I haven't built yet, but I am holding off on those for now. Just sets of this size are a bit bigger than I'm interested in doing, especially when I start to consider where am I going to put this thing for the future. I might have some space where I can put it on display because it is cool, and it is really cool, and I do kind of want to have it out to look at it for a bit. But for instance, I will not be picking up the 10,000 piece Death Star or whatever that's planning to be. I held off. I didn't pick up the AT-AT for that same reason. It's just too big. I don't know where to put it. And so I probably won't be picking that up either. Other than the stickers, overall, I really enjoyed the set. I understand it's quite expensive, so it may not be one that's super popular, and it's also for a show as opposed to the movies, which I think is also a bit less popular for a lot of people. I picked it up because it's a cool looking ship, and I like spaceships, and I thought it looked cool. Well, that's all I have for today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below what your favorite Lego Star Wars set is, and I will catch you next week with another video.